This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
The coastline will change. There's only so much you can do to mitigate the impacts. At some time, you're just going to have to tear things down and move inland.
Leaders on the Suncoast are trying to hold off that day as long as possible. However, they're losing support from Washington. President Trump is pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and our governor won't even allow the words climate change to be used by anyone in state government. So, what can local governments do on their own? We'll show you tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on the local response to climate change coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. President Trump may have withdrawn from the Paris Climate Accord, but we begin tonight with the latest efforts on the Suncoast to curb carbon emissions. Sarasota City Commissioners are moving forward with a plan to transition to renewable energy. The plan is to power the city with 100% renewable energy. Under the proposal, the city-controlled operations will go green by 2030, and then the goal is to power the entire city that way by 2045. Supporters of the plan say it will transform the Suncoast.
The residents should be really proud, and the community should be really proud and excited that they're taking this on. It's going to be some work. It's going to take cooperation with the utilities, with the businesses. I know that many people are eager.
Sarasota is the 3rd city in Florida to join an initiative led by the Sierra Club to be entirely energy efficient. Commissioners are giving support for renovations to Fred Atkins Park in Newtown. It follows approval from the Planning Board to spend $1 million improving the location at the intersection of US 301 and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The once vibrant park has become a hotspot for crime in recent years. Some residents say the long-awaited changes are only coming now to please developers like those who invested in the Ringling soundstage. New details tonight on a shooting in Newtown. Police responding to 32nd Street and North Washington Boulevard yesterday afternoon after reports of 2 drivers crashing into each other, then opening fire. No one was hurt, but a business was struck by several bullets. Police are still searching for the suspects. Tonight, police are releasing surveillance video of 2 vehicles involved. One is described as a newer white Toyota Camry with graphite rims and dark windows. The other is a 2012 or newer gold Chevy Malibu with dark windows. While Sarasota city and county government pursue a housing-first approach to homelessness, a nonprofit organization is pushing ahead with its own efforts. Castle LLC, which runs Renaissance Manor, is partnering with Blue Sky Communities to build an 80-unit complex along Fruitville Road near Roberts Arena. Earlier this month, they received a $19 million federal grant to build Arbor Villages. The organization is now filing an application to break ground. Once people are housed, Castle also plans to connect them with support services.
We're going to link them with the right people, but our position is let's make everyone successful. And again, I keep on saying this, I don't want people to survive, I want people to thrive.
Applicants must be homeless or suffering from a debilitating condition, which can range from barriers to employment and substance abuse. Now to Venice, where the fire department is changing how it trains first responders. For 30 years, the department held classes in this portable. On Monday, it became the class experiment. Firefighters demonstrated how it could burn in just 20 minutes. The training academy at Wellfield Park is being closed. Training will now be done at the fire station using shipping containers. It's cheaper. Each container costs between $1,000 and $2,000. Heavy traffic has been an issue for commuters between Palmetto and Bradenton, but Florida's Department of Transportation may have a solution. Today, the agency gave a presentation to Manatee County Commissioners on adding a 3rd bridge in addition to the Green and DeSoto bridges. FDOT says traffic levels will continue to increase over the next 15 years, and this could help alleviate problems. Public workshops on the proposal are being planned for this fall. Now to Anna Maria Island, where money problems are causing chaos in the leadership of the group, the Center of Anna Maria Island. In just 2 weeks, several board members have resigned and then unresigned. A new chairman was voted in by email. What's going on? The center is getting more donations, but as a result, it's losing a grant from the county. Now it's facing a $200,000 budget shortage. There are accusations of mismanagement within the organization, and now board members are calling for an audit of all transactions.
I then provided all the details of the information, every single transaction of our Visa card. The 3 credit cards that we have are Home Depot, Staples, and Walmart, and they do not have more than a $500 total balance for the 3 cards right now.
From what I'm seeing right now, everything is, okay. I'm not seeing anything out of line. I'm not seeing anything crazy.
As far as the city is concerned, $45,000 was put in the city budget for the center. Whether or not they'll receive those funds is up in the air. And now for a check on our weather, we go to Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We just had this put in to our Facebook page. Again, water spout about 20 minutes ago indicated on this picture and photo right here on Sarasota Bay. Sandy sending this in, and we appreciate that, a thin water spout. These kind of water spouts associated with these lines typically don't do a lot of cause a lot of problems. The ones with the squall lines that move in with cold fronts are the ones that can do some damage, and they maintain their organization as they make landfall, and they're classified as tornadoes. But this one more than likely faded away fairly quickly. We are again looking at some showers around associated with the sea breeze front. You can see the storm system Cindy, the third named storm of the season now in the Gulf of Mexico, pretty much void of any significant storms around its center, and it's a poorly organized system with most of the activity now well to the east of the center. The center is right there. You can see not very much going on there. The heavy rainfall into Louisiana and into Mississippi and Alabama with some big storms yet to come, and they could see up to 5 to almost 10 inches of rainfall in some areas. Now, the latest on Cindy is 45-mile-an-hour winds. It's stationary, expected to make a break to the northwest and make landfall sometime after 2 a.m. on Thursday morning with winds at 45. So it's not a big wind problem, but it's going to be a big rain problem with flooding likely throughout that region all the way over to the panhandle of Florida. So that's a big issue for that. Our other storm, Brett, is no longer. It is just a remnant low, which has been sheared apart. Some moisture down there, and that's going to head off toward the west with no signs of development with that at all over the upcoming days. Now, rain around here and showers have been pushing on through. That activity, though, is not going to be all that intense. We'll have more on that and let you know about the rest of the week's forecast, which looks to be a little bit drier and more sunshine in it.
Oh, that's good news. Thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, Pittsburgh, not Paris. President Trump is pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, but not everyone in government is balking at climate change. Find out how our local governments are taking action when we return.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
You love your couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0710 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. So call 1-800-943-0710. That's 1-800-943-0710. Call now.
Check out mysuncoast.com/dining, your guide to the foodie lifestyle.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251. 800-628-1251.
How do you feel about President Trump withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement? Very likely, that depends on whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. According to a new Gallup poll, 66% of Democrats worry about climate change compared to only 18% of Republicans. Kate Flexter has more on the politics of climate science. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. President Trump says his decision will help the American worker and the economy. Others say it's a backward step after years of progress.
For Jerry Swarmstead, moving to Sarasota promised a coastal lifestyle. That's why she lives literally feet from the water.
There's something about being by the water that is just calming.
But as sea levels continue to rise, Swarmstead says coastal living is risky. It's a concern she says was only magnified by President Trump's decision to pull out of the Paris Climate Accord.
It's a step backwards, a step backwards.
The United States will withdraw.
The decision caught the world's attention, some applauding, others hitting the streets in protest. The president argues the agreement signed by nearly 200 countries to combat climate change will hurt the American economy and American workers.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
Within days, dozens of American companies from Apple to Walmart to ExxonMobil urged the president not to quit the agreement. Plus, 12 states and more than 200 cities vowed to uphold the deal. Meanwhile, leaders from France, Germany, and Italy released this statement saying, quote, the Paris Agreement cannot be renegotiated. French President Emmanuel Macron even abandoned his native French tongue in favor of English to invite American scientists to France to work on climate change.
Make our planet great again.
At Sarasota's Republican headquarters, though, Secretary Frank Patti was excited to see the move.
We shouldn't be dictated by agreement with other nations. This has to be done by the United States under its own auspices without causing damage to its own economy.
Patti acknowledges climate change as legitimate, but says it's primarily a naturally occurring phenomenon.
A small percentage is probably man-made, but we can't tell how much of it. So going on this tear that they've gone on is ridiculous.
Patti's correct that climate change is not entirely man-made. According to NASA, the Earth's climate is affected by small changes in its orbit. But NASA also reports, despite what Patti claims, the current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely, greater than 95% probability, caused by humans, leading to extreme weather events, warming oceans, and shrinking ice sheets. At the National Weather Service, meteorologist Daniel Noah says whatever the cause, Florida stands to lose a lot when it comes to climate change.
So what does this map show us?
So this is a sea level rise viewer from NOAA, and you could range from 1 feet to 6 feet. And it shows that once you get 3 feet above where the tides are now, St. Armand Circle starts to have water on it permanently.
So we would see St. Armand Circle underwater just after 3 feet.
We're starting to see roads go underwater, drains aren't draining. So that's the magic number.
NOAA points to Tropical Storm Colin and Hurricane Hermine as a taste of what climate change could mean for the Gulf Coast.
At high tide, the drainage pipes got covered up and the heavy rain from the storms flooded the streets because the water had nowhere to go. We're going to see that more and more often as the sea level rises.
By the year 2100, the NOAA estimates range anywhere from 1 foot to 5 feet of sea level rise in Florida. By then, projections from Zillow estimate nearly 1 million Floridian properties worth more than $400 billion are at risk of being submerged.
The coastline will change. There's only so much you can do to mitigate the impacts. At some time, you're just going to have to tear things down and move inland.
But Swarmstead isn't quite resigned to giving up her coastal lifestyle. She's counting on the actions of companies, local governments, and individuals to slow climate change.
We need to have some hope, and we know that as we gather together, we can work together to do it. We don't have to depend on our government to do it.
Locally, both Venice and Sarasota voted to uphold the goals of the Paris Agreement.
Okay, thank you. And coming up, the debate over climate change is now impacting local politics. The blowback one local mayor is getting after standing up to say President Trump may not abide by the Paris Climate Agreement, but his city will. The trapezoid is next.
I dream of the creature by night and by day. Wielding my weapon, I slaughter my prey. 2,000 cash, I'll be rolling in dough. So hey, a big monster, come out from below. So hey, a big monster, come out from below.
This Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix Minute is brought to you by Sarasota Ford.
The Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix was first organized in 1985. What began as an annual beach picnic for local children with special needs has expanded into an 11-day festival with the races televised to more than 100 countries. The entire festival is produced by Suncoast Charities for Children. The Grand Prix not only generates revenue for charity, but also a significant economic impact. Last year's event generated an economic impact of $37 million.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
How long have we been married, dear?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years. We decided on Meals on Wheels because I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do. We're the Spans. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome back. President Trump may have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, but some local communities are saying not so fast. In the days since the president announced his decision, California, Washington State, New York, 13 states in all announced that they will commit to the goals of the Paris Accords. Over 300 mayors across the country have also committed their communities to the goals of the Paris Agreement, including the mayors of Orlando, St. Pete, the city of Sarasota, and the mayor of Venice, John Hollick of Venice. The Venice City Council voted 4-3 last week to favor supporting the mayor's national climate agenda. And yes, that comes with just a wee bit of blowback. And joining us for more on climate change is Rod Thompson, president of the Sarasota Republican Club and founder of the RevolutionaryAct.com. Dr. David Hastings, a professor of marine science and chemistry at Eckerd College, and John Hollick, the mayor of Venice. And Mayor, let me ask you, I know that there was a lot of criticism of you and the city council. What were you hearing?
Well, some of the criticism, of course, was political pressures of the parties, and some was individual opinion. Probably the biggest thing was the criticism was that it really does no good. We're too small to affect any good.
Well, let me ask you right there, what can you do? What concrete steps can you do to abide by this letter and to do your part in terms of climate change?
Well, like anything, the Paris Accord was a top-down type of a movement where the various governments from various countries agreed with that accord. The mayor's climate action is a bottoms-up. We know we don't have any political power, we don't have any power other than the name of the city, but to put the name of the city in agreement with the principles to us was important.
Rod, I know a lot of area Republicans were calling the mayor and others down in Venice to complain about this, and specifically the concern is whether there would be any kind of retribution either by the state or the federal government in terms of state and federal aid. Is that a fair concern?
It might be. I wouldn't really like there to see retribution in that respect, personally. I have a number of concerns about Venice or Sarasota or any of the cities doing it. One of them really revolves around not the technical question of constitutionality, but the idea that you have individual cities and states entering into voluntarily agreements with national powers. Chris Ann Hall wrote at the Revolution Act on that very thing. She's a constitutional scholar, and she raised the issue in a lot of thoughtful ways as far as, does this set more of an example for how cities and states will do this in the future? And the question then becomes, what happens now when federal law, say, conflicts with what the cities have said they want to do? If sanctuary cities are any lead for us, we have a real potential problem there if cities choose to abide by the Paris Accords and not by federal law. I think we can all see the dangerous road that would lead to.
It's funny how sometimes people bring up the issue of local rights over federal rights, but it seems different when we're dealing with issues like interstate issues like gun control and other things
so
like
I'll tell you one of the differences is that in this specific case, one of the very few things that is reserved for the federal government in the Constitution is treaties. There's a lot of things that we do that the federal government doesn't do that are specifically not allowed to anything but the states.
I want to get Professor Hastings in here for a moment. There's a lot more to ask you about, but you were the one mentioned that over 300 municipalities are joining this effort right now. What are you seeing across the country?
Well, as was alluded, this is a bottoms-up approach, and the president of Eckerd College signed this. The mayors of both Tampa and St. Petersburg signed it. Governors signed it. And what we're seeing is this is a tremendous groundswell of support for local action on climate change. So even though it's not happening at the top, there's a groundswell of support. Thousands of petitions are signed.
Okay. We are just getting started with our conversation, and we will pick up the discussion right after we check the weather.
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
With the Brinks prepaid MasterCard, it's easy to manage our money. I get a text alert every time our card is used, so we always know our balance.
And we're protected from unauthorized transactions. Brinks gives us peace of mind.
Introducing the Brinks prepaid MasterCard. With direct deposit, you can get your paycheck or government payments up to 2 days faster.
Brinks knows what's valuable to me, time.
Load money onto your card and then shop online, pay bills. With Brinks, you can conveniently manage your money online and with the mobile app. Call now or go online to get your Brinks prepaid MasterCard. And in this TV-only offer, personalize your Brinks prepaid MasterCard with your photo for added security. Brinks knows what's valuable to you. Call right now to order your Brinks prepaid MasterCard.
Call 1-800-291-4547.
Or go online. Call now.
For the last 18 years, Samantha's Friends has been assisting people along the Suncoast who have been challenged by catastrophic illnesses or affected by autism obtain a service canine. We need your help. Please show your support by attending our annual Celebrity Gala brunch and fundraiser. Call Sammy Lee at 941-448-8558 for more information.
Our discussion of the local response to climate change continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, Alan, some heavy rainfall in across parts of the Suncoast right now. Not directly related to Cindy. However, we have that southeasterly wind flow, and it's really bringing some moisture in. A little sea breeze has developed. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But right now, it appears that Cindy is out there void of any storms around its center. Brett is faded away now. It's just a remnant low. Tropical storm warnings for the third named storm of the season for Texas and Louisiana. Rip current risk for the Suncoast. You can see some of those waves this afternoon. Not all that high, but high enough to cause some problems. And it will stay that way, too. As long as Cindy's out there in the Gulf and things are starting to rotate around it will propagate these waves in our direction, causing the dangerous rip currents up and down the area beaches. So that rip current risk is there. It will stay there throughout the day on Wednesday, and then eventually fade away, I think, by late Thursday. As far as the radar picture goes, the big story with this is rainfall. And this is going to be a rainmaker. We're talking up to maybe 10 inches in some isolated areas. Is eventually going to move off in that direction away from Florida, so less of an impact on us. Although the Panhandle is still getting some heavy rainfall. Most of the action is east of the center with this, but we are starting to see some wraparound occurring, indicating that the system may be getting better organized. Some showers now moving through, as I mentioned, along that line, basically off to the northwest, and some of the rain has been heavy at times. And Palmetto, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch had a shower. One just formed right there near Fruitville. Just popped up in the last 5 minutes. Some very heavy rainfall east of I-75 and along State Road 72, Clark Road, getting some heavy rainfall all the way over again to Hidden River. That all moving in your direction. So expect brief periods of some heavy rain, occasional lightning strike too, through this evening. And then things will start to taper off, I believe, after midnight. Well, Brett's gone too. Brett was a short-lived tropical storm. It is no longer with us because of some strong shear coming off of Venezuela right now. Cindy will eventually move off toward the northwest and make landfall sometime on Thursday morning with 45-mile-an-hour winds, so it should not be all that impressive in terms of wind. But flooding, a real problem there. This is now a remnant low, which will continue to move off toward the west and should not have much of an impact at all. Temperature right now 81 degrees, and we have some clouds around. Dew point is up there at 72. It's warm, it's muggy, and there are showers around. For boaters tomorrow, still a bit breezy out there. Southeast winds anywhere from 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be 3 to 5 feet in choppy conditions, and the tides upcoming, high tide at 11:30. Sunset at 8:28, sunrise at 6:36. Mostly cloudy, scattered showers, humid 77 for your low. And then tomorrow, expect mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon, a 50-50 chance at storms on the first day of summer. And then temperatures warm and stay warm all the way through Tuesday. A pretty good weekend ahead, though, with just a slight chance for a few scattered storms. Al will be back with the panel right after this. Stick around.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job. I am Goodwill, yeah.
If you are age 85 or younger, a final expense policy for seniors can pay up to $30,000 for funeral and other final expenses. You don't need a medical exam, and you can have lifetime coverage. Your premiums won't increase, your benefits won't decrease, and the policy cannot be canceled. To receive free information about final expense plans from a licensed agent in the Angel Care Network, call now.
Call 800-676-1339.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help. I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs. I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Drones versus ambulances, which are better in medical emergencies in the next Health Smart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing what local governments on the Suncoast are doing to respond to climate change. Our guests tonight are Rod Thompson of the Sarasota Republican Club, Dr. David Hastings of Eckerd College, and Venice Mayor John Hollick. Our friends at the Herald Tribune went around and asked, I believe, 9 local mayors what they thought of the mayor's letter and the president withdrawing from the Paris agreements. I want to read one quote and get your reaction to it, Professor Hastings. Mayor William Sharon of Bradenton Beach, he said, no, I do not plan to join global warming. Is very controversial, and the information I have on it is either pro or con. I just don't have a real opinion on global warming because I don't have the information. A lot of people say that there is a lot of information about global warming, and a lot of people say there is not a lot of information. I am concerned about rising levels, but as to what it causes it, I really don't know. Could you respond to the mayor?
Well, I'm glad that he's honest, that he doesn't have the information. And as a scientist, as a climate scientist, I have the information. And the truth is that the climate is changing, and it's due to human influence. We're doing it. So that's what the climate change scientific community knows.
Rod, at the outset of the last segment, or in Kate's story, I pointed out there's just such a huge difference between Republicans and Democrats in terms of whether or not they believe the climate is changing. Something over 60% of Republicans, not even 20% of Republicans. Why is that?
I think a lot of it has to do with the question of whether it's actually anthropogenic. I think most of us, I mean myself, obviously there's some global warming going on. I've seen that past century and a half. We also know that for the vast majority of the Earth's existence, tens of millions of years in that scale, it's been warmer than it is now. So perhaps the Earth is going back towards its more natural average. So I believe the professor would say it's going much faster now than we've seen it in the past. That could be. We know that carbon emissions are a greenhouse gas. We know greenhouse gases trap warmth. We know all these things. What I am very unconvinced about is the degree to which we have anthropogenic warming. The degree to which man-made. The degree to which the warming that's going on right now is driven primarily by CO2 emissions by man. I am really unconvinced of that case. The professor will try to convince us, and maybe can at some point, but I'm not convinced of it. But it might be. I am where the mayor there that you quoted is. It might be the case. I'm just not convinced at this point.
20 seconds, Mayor. I mean, David.
You bet. You bet. The science is very compelling from a scientific perspective. We have a variety of different tools and ways to understand that. And the challenge of science is that we need more than 20 seconds. But there are different flavors or isotopes of carbon, and they tell us that this is human caused. And there are 9 other ways of telling us that it is in fact human caused. The challenge with accepting that is there's a different political decision that has to be made if we know that it's human caused.
Mayor, you live in the world of politics here, and we see what Venice is trying to do, but you also have a lot of your residents and your constituents who do not subscribe to this.
Right, and in my case, I subscribe to the fact that we're having climate change. The amount that's being caused by man, to me, doesn't matter. If we're contributing to it, then let's not contribute to it.
That brings up an issue that I wanted to get to, and it brings up the greater political issue, because a lot of people have said that the president's decision to withdraw from Paris was a bad business decision, because there is a growing industry in the United States in terms of green energy. The same industries are popping up around the world, and the question is, who is going to take advantage of it first?
I don't understand why us pulling out of the Paris Accords would affect private industry and what they're doing to supply both domestically and foreign solar panels, solar power, generators, etc. All of that industry should continue unabated unless the only reason that it was doing well because it was getting massive government subsidies. Now that would be a different issue and a whole different conversation, and would suggest that it's not nearly as efficient as is suggested in the whereas clauses of Venice and City of Sarasota's what they just passed.
Professor?
Right, so industry is subsidized. That's an economic fact of life. Our airplanes are subsidized, our highways are subsidized, and it's a way of moving things, making things happen more quickly. So yes, wind energy, solar energy, these are subsidized industries, and we need to push it forward more quickly, and that's what Paris did. We were committing to reduce our CO2 emissions, our carbon emissions, by 26 to 28%, and that kind of kick in the pants would have, in fact, made these businesses go faster, and we see the business community being upset.
Right, and Mayor, we have done programs on the fact that way back when Florida was almost the center of the solar industry in the United States. That wasn't until President Reagan did away with tax breaks in terms of putting up solar panels, but it was focused on the I-4 corridor. And USF today is a leader in solar research. Are you hoping that even a community like Venice can tie into that industry in terms of economic development?
Well, you know, we have tied in a little bit to the solar industry. We do have a nice solar field in the city of Venice. We were to have a second one that was removed, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did the story about that too.
Yeah.
You have to have it like pointed in the right direction?
It was, I can't say that was one of our shining moments, but I'm very much in favor of reducing dependency on the fossil fuels, and solar in Florida seems to make a lot of sense.
You know, what about that, Rod? Because the president is talking about more offshore drilling off the other coast. People are still concerned about whether or not we will have drilling off of in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, would you, in terms of our energy needs, is that something, a direction that you would prefer us to go in more than developing solar and wind and other, you know, renewable energy?
Well, if I could wave a wand, I would definitely go with the renewable energy. All things being equal, of course, that would be the way to go. Solar first, because we're the Sunshine State. Wind, you know, we're surrounded by water, so we're going to have a lot of wind. That would be great. But if the requirement, if it's not all things equal, and the requirement is that it takes huge amounts of taxpayer subsidies to make these things work for an indefinite period of time, then I think we have a trade-off that we have to really question.
Professor, what about that?
Right, so solar is a booming industry. 1 out of 50 new jobs is created by solar. Compared to the coal industry, for example, coal has something like 70,000 jobs. There are twice that many in the car washing industry. So we're looking at wind and solar being job producers. And that's really what we're after. And that's why corporate America, that's why Walmart and Apple and Google were all supporting this Paris Accord. And it was a bad business decision for our president to pull out of this. I think he'll regret it.
Rod, you're shaking your head, but we'll give you a chance to respond in just a moment. Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, restitution for the victims of Bernie Madoff.
What's a nice Jewish girl to do when she can't introduce her WASP boyfriend to her conservative parents? Hire an actor. Hilarious and insightful, Bo Jest is at the Players Center June 14th through the 25th, and it's your ticket to a sizzling summer. Call the Players at 365-2494 or visit theplayers.org. Don't miss Bo Jest.
Save big during the 4th of July clearance and pay no interest for 48 months with same-day pickup or next-day delivery. This special purchase double reclining sofa for only $4.99. This special purchase white Florida bedroom for $5.99, and the matching nightstand is free. This special purchase Serta Perfect Sleeper Queen set for $3.99. Exclusively at the Furniture Warehouse in Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice, Port Charlotte, and Ellington.
And save big. Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Cities on the Suncoast like Sarasota and Venice are taking the response to the climate change into their own hands. Will others follow suit, and what kind of difference will it make without the support of state and federal governments? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. So let me put that question right to you. Without the backup of state funding and federal funding, is there a real limitation of what you can do in terms of the city of Venice?
Well, there's a limitation, but I think we have people in Venice, a large percentage of our population, that's concerned just about the city, the state, the country, and they will do whatever they can to do a better job of not promoting climate change.
In one small bites.
In very small bites, but we'll do it.
Professor Hastings, on the other hand, you have huge industrial states like New York State and California and Washington State and others that say that they will abide by the climate agreement. In the end, that doesn't equal what the Paris Agreement's called on the United States to do.
Right, right. But we're seeing this groundswell of support that I referred to. As a climate scientist, I know that the climate is changing. We know that it's due to human influence. It's happening quickly. There's a tremendous agreement in our community, in the scientific community, that this is going on. And the good news is that we can do something about it. The Paris Agreement was one of these things. It was a landmark worldwide climate agreement, the first of its kind. That's on hold for a moment. And countries like China and India, France, Germany, they're going to profit from it because they're the ones that are going to be making money on these wind turbines, the solar photovoltaics. We're left behind.
And Rod, you get the last word.
I still fail to see why we cannot compete with China and Germany and India to create these things unless their governments are subsidizing those industries for doing it. One of my concerns about this too is for like the city of Sarasota specifically has, lots of pension issues, has serious financial issues and problems. It was in the last campaign a lot. If this is costly and costly up front, which I think it is, we're talking about subsidies that are needed, if they're adding more costs to try and get cleaner energy, even if it's a lofty goal, that's a big trade-off for a city already in financial problems. What's going to be the cost for other programs and other services of the city down the road?
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, restitution for the victims of Bernie Madoff. More than 35,000 people around the world lost money in his Ponzi scheme, including thousands here in Florida. In fact, 62 of those victims, which include charities and nonprofits, are right here in Sarasota. Congressman Vern Buchanan is pushing the Attorney General's office to begin distributing funds, and it appears the Justice Department is listening. Checks could start going out later this year. And here is what some of you are saying. John White writes, Buchanan works very hard on behalf of investors. Working for people, not so much. Leonard DeMarcello writes, the only reason he is in jail is because he stole money from the rich. And Christine Elizabeth writes, 62 greedy people lost money because of another greedy person. Well, what do you think about climate change? Rod thinks that's harsh, by the way. With the federal government stepping away from the efforts to control it, should it be left to municipal governments to take action on their own? Join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past roundtable discussions. They're on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Rod Thompson is the president of the Sarasota Republican Club and founder of the website revolutionaryact.com. Professor David Hastings is the professor of marine science and chemistry at Eckerd College, and John Hollick is the mayor of Venice. When we return, are you in the market for a new home? Maybe you're a realtor. The Federal Trade Commission is warning about a new scam. Find out how to protect yourself in our For Your Benefit segment. Plus, 119 degrees. That's the temperature not in this studio. It's the temperature in Phoenix today. Western states are in the grips of a stifling heat wave. It's affecting everything from the power grid to travel. We'll have the details in our prime time headlines.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Welcome back. Scammers are trying to steal your money or personal information. That isn't new, but there is a new method the Federal Trade Commission is warning about, and it affects home buyers and realtors. It's the focus of tonight's For Your Benefit segment, and joining us with information on what you need to know and watch out for is Jerry Zivick, a government benefits consultant and consumer watchdog. Hey, Jerry, my grandmother used to say, what will they think of next? This deals with how we pay into our escrow and those accounts, which many people believe is something that's just automatic. What's happening?
Well, what's happening is all of the closings are done through these escrow accounts, and you're wiring the money. And somewhere in the process, hackers are getting the information of when the closing will take place, and they're sending a last-minute email. We have changed your direction. Wire your money here, wire your money there. And that's when the money gets taken.
How? I mean, how are they finding out when closings are taking place and when these transactions are being made?
It starts out very early in the process. The closer or the buyer, the seller, or the attorney can get what looks like a very innocent email, download an attachment, and a virus or a tracking device is in the system. And you just shouldn't do it. The only way to protect yourself is before you wire any money to call that financial institution yourself. Check the routing number and check the account number and do that right before it gets sent. Otherwise, you're just not safe.
How often is this happening, and what, if anything, is the Federal Trade Commission doing about it?
This is happening in the last year. It's growing at an exponential rate. And the FTC has very little power. Once that money hits let's say a domestic bank, immediately it's routed to an offshore bank and it's gone, it's lost.
I think the consumer, as I said, you should check the routing yourself, but if you're hiring a professional, if you're hiring a lawyer or a real estate agent or using a title company, you should put that in the contract yourself that whoever wires that money is responsible to make sure it gets to a safe destination.
Well, are realtors or real estate attorneys also being victimized by this, and is the industry itself taking any precautions to try to stop this from happening?
Well, everybody's being victimized in the process. The attorneys, the realtors, the title companies, and everybody will say, well, get the best authentication. There's the MFA, multi-factor authentication. But anybody in that process that doesn't have a multi-factor authentication can be a victim, and you're in trouble again. So you have to protect yourself.
And how does this play out? Because we all have escrow accounts that are attached to our mortgages. Those balances go up and down. Is this only at the time of the closing that we need to be concerned about this, or is this, as we service our loans?
I think if I had that escrow account, I would make sure that my bank was paying my taxes every time. I would double check to make sure that if it's paying taxes, insurance, if they're routing it to the right place, I would not rely upon them to do it accurately.
It almost seems that you have to self-police, and that there is no governmental organization that is overseeing this process in terms of finding fraud as it happens in real time and then going out and investigate it.
Well, they can't prevent it, and it clearly is a theft, it's a crime, but nobody's interested in actually pursuing that cyber crime, and it's an offshore criminal anyways. How is the long arm of the law going to reach them?
All right, Jerry, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Jerry Zivic is a government benefits consultant and consumer watchdog. He joins us every other week on our For Your Benefit segment. Your primetime headlines are coming up right after this break.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Download ABC7's official Suncoast weather app onto all your devices so you can stay informed wherever you go. With our full-featured weather app, you get weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. The ABC7 official Suncoast weather app, sponsored by 1 Hour Air. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download yours today.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $10 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand, with no surprises, and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received J.D. Power Awards for highest customer service. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317. Go online or visit a Target store today.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
I'm Joey Panic on Suncoast View. We get summer craft ideas to bring vacation memories home with us, plus National Selfie Day, Suncoast for Sale, and the best of Savor Sarasota.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Now for your primetime headlines. The first day of summer is bringing the worst heat wave the southwestern United States has seen in years. ABC's Dana Backus reports.
The extreme heat is taking over the Southwest. Hot temperatures are creating challenges for firefighters. A massive mulch fire at a Northern California compost plant sparking spontaneously.
As it's slowly starting to decompose, it's putting off heat.
along with the hot temperatures that we have, and then it just started off.
And voluntary evacuation orders issued for this more than 900-acre wildfire just east of Los Angeles. The sizzling heat also putting a drain on California's power grid.
The problem is, once the power goes off, the heat rises really fast.
Generators are picking up the slack after more than 100,000 reported power outages in the Bay Area. The mercury rising so high, this woman cooked a roast on the dashboard of her car. And in Phoenix, nearly 50 flights out of Sky Harbor International Airport canceled. Smaller regional jets must be grounded when temperatures get above 118 degrees. 120 is expected. In the gambling mecca, visitors on the Las Vegas Strip being warned not to overexert themselves. In an unexpected twist, the heat also causing flooding along the Kings River. Water coming quickly from the snow-capped peaks of the Sierra, forcing hundreds to evacuate their homes. Forecasters say today is the peak of this excessive heat, but the high temperatures are expected to last until Thursday. Danya Backus, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Now to Georgia, where things are heating up in a much different way. Voting is wrapping up in the most expensive congressional race in history. Republicans have held the district since 1979, but tonight it is a toss-up. Republican Karen Handel and Democrat John Ossoff spending $50 million on the high-stakes contest. Experts say the results could be an early indicator for the 2018 midterms.
Is on the ballot. This has national implications for a couple of reasons. One is this is the kind of district that Democrats kind of need to win if they're going to take back the House next year.
Both candidates are downplaying the national implications of this race, but the president is clearly concerned, tweeting 3 times in the last 24 hours supporting the Republican candidate. Senate Republicans are expected to deliver their version of a new health care plan this week, but Democrats are promising a fight, accusing Republicans of hiding the bill. Democrats pulling an all-nighter on the Senate floor, protesting the way the GOP bill has been drafted behind closed doors without hearings or debate. The sticking point, rolling back the expansion of Medicaid coverage of pre-existing conditions and how to lower premiums. The White House says those points are central to the new plan.
The president clearly wants a bill that has heart in it. He believes that health care is something that is near and dear to so many families.
The bill will get a score from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office to figure out its impact on Americans. A vote is expected before the July 4th recess. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Coe. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.